So the Champions Cup round of 16 just got finished. We're going to go through all the results.
So it was a very highly anticipated game. Nobody really knew which way it would go because Glasgow have got a lot of hype around them at the moment, and Harlequins are very, very hot and cold. I don't think anybody, a lot of people called Quins, I called Glasgow, but in the end it was 28 Quins, 24 Glasgow, a very tight game. I think we need to talk about man of the match, Marcus Smith, because he really shone on Friday night. 2 try assists, 1 try, man of the match. Oh my goodness, England's 10 is back. I think for all England fans, this is very exciting news. It's something that gives us a bit of hope for the future of England. And yeah, overall, just a very good sign. Both teams overall in that game played very well. It was very quick, competitive running rugby, but well done, Quins. They fought through and got the win in the end.
Marcus Smith for me is too hot and cold to be called a world-class player.
No.
I fully agree. The guy, he hasn't proved anything. The guy is a prospect failure. He is, people think of him as the next Damian Willemse. No one can lace Damian Willemse's boots. Marcus Smith is a fraud. He's come back. He only performs for the Quins. He's shocking for England. So I won't hear anything about world class. What has he won? When has he had a man of the match performance for England? The guy is a fraud.
The thing is, with Marcus Smith, we can say whatever we want to say about him on the international stage. At club form, the reason why there is that hype behind him is because at club form, he is a magician. The try he scored, the dancing feet, I think it's just a question of, can domestic rugby transfer to international rugby? It's a hard question to answer because there's been many great players like Danny Cipriani, Gloucester as well. I think 2019 had an amazing season, but he wasn't able to do an England jersey. But I do think Smith can give England something that they're missing. And it's going to be, I think it is an exciting time to be an England fan.
I completely agree. I think the reason why Smith hasn't shone on the international stage before is not because of his ability, it's because of the England setup in general and the way we were playing rugby and not adapting with the game. I think Smith is going to be crucial for England going forward and developing that more attacking style with a little bit more flair, which England have, as we know, have been lacking over the past few years. We saw it very briefly in the Six Nations when he came on against Ireland. He played brilliantly.
You can't talk about him like he's still a young prospect. He's been in the game a couple of years. He's hardly had any caps for England. He's not done the job at the 10 position for England. At 25 years old, he's the same age as Damian Willemse. Guy's got 2 World Cups, a British and Irish Lions tour, a rugby championship.
Stop it with your crush
we want to talk about Marcus Smith like he's the greatest prospect. How many years are we giving him before he actually has to turn up and show that he's class?
I don't think he's Damien Willemse level. I think he's probably on the same level as Jack Crowley. But at the end of the day, you can only you judge a team off of team efforts, and I don't think you can necessarily pin a team's result on the players. I think with England and the way they're going forward, yes, is Marcus Smith still a defensive liability? 100%. But with the attack they have now, like Tommy Freeman, Ollie Lawrence, it's looking exciting, it's looking threatening. And I think him and Mitchell, with the temper he provides from 9, I'm not saying England are going to win the World Cup, but if England did what they did last year, after losing to Fiji, I do think they are building something special. And Marcus Smith is going to be at the centre of that.
Bulls took on Leon at Loftus Versfeld. Listen, people, we've been told in our comment sections, don't write off Leon. They already beat the Bulls and stuff. This is why you write off Leon. It was an absolute butchering. Literally took them to the cleaners, wiped the asshole. Leon can be glad they had 19 points. They shouldn't have had that first 7 points. That was ridiculous. Whoever the ref was, I can't even remember his name. I think he's the best ref in the world. But a try awarded for a quick tap penalty after a water break in front of the 5 meter mark while there's an injury on the field. Are you being serious? The Bulls are literally in a huddle. Lucky to get 19 points. 60-point battery. Are you serious? Get out of this tournament.
Bulls are a myth, right? Because they only win at home because of their altitude. If you take that Bulls team, play them in Lyon, that game, Lyon win.
Leinster, what is your opinion on Bordeaux? Because as far as I remember, you said Bordeaux is a great team, looking super exciting. Listen, the Bulls smashed Bordeaux. So don't be hypocritical in this podcast while you want to be full of praise for the other team that lost to the Bulls in the previous podcast. Sit there, be quiet, stop being hypocritical.
They only win at home. They can't win away in big games like that. And that proves it, no one beats Bordeaux like the Bulls beat them.
What I will say about the Bulls is it's funny, there's another team in South Africa who won't be named till later, who are, supposedly the best team in South Africa. And you compare the two results on the weekend. Bulls go out there, they're humble, they're patient, and they smash Lyon. I mean, at times I was a bit disappointed looking at Kane and Moody. I thought he was overplaying at times, trying to do round the back passes and stuff. But it's clear now who the best team in South Africa is. I think Bulls fans have really, really put humbling towards some of those Stormers fans, but Casual, just for no reason in particular, I want to know what you think of Bulls going into the next round of this tournament.
Well, usually, like the Bulls are our biggest rivals. Like, obviously, I'm a Stormers fan, but I'll be supporting the Bulls for the rest of the tournament. Obviously, we're still new in the European Champions Cup, so we'll support the South African teams because they have a bunch of South African players. You want to play for that South African pride. You want to keep this Leinster guy quiet. So I'll be supporting the Bulls from here on out. But other than for the Champions Cup, I don't care what happens to them.
Do you think the Bulls have a good chance to take the tournament all the way to the very end?
If they somehow beat Leinster at Aviva, I think they win it all. But I don't think they're beating Leinster at Aviva.
No, and travel wise, it's impossible. Like, nah, I don't think they'll come here and I don't think there's a chance. I think Bulls will be eliminated next round, to be completely honest. But
the biggest issue is we don't have home games in South Africa further, the Bulls. Even if they batter every other team, our home games, if they were to have a home game, it wouldn't be at Loftus. It would be in England. That's where the South African teams play the home game, so they don't have to. So the other teams don't have to travel, which is ridiculous to me. But I mean, sure.
I don't know. They definitely won't beat Leinster anyway, because they don't have their altitude. They don't win.
Geez, Leinster, must be fun with you, yeah?
Exeter once again managed to pull off a shock result, beating Bath. Finn Russell, the magician, couldn't save himself from his own massive injury, which pretty much derailed Bath. What do we think? How are Exeter overachieving in this competition, and can they make it all the way to the final?
I don't think they're overachieving at all. Look at how good they played in the group stages. Obviously, they scraped over the line against Glasgow, very controversially in the pool stages. But we can't forget how good we all said they looked. Yeah, they dropped a bit in form. I'm not too sure why, because I don't follow the Prem. I prefer to stay awake while I watch rugby. Overall, I predicted Exeter to take this one. I'm not having any excuses from Bath fans like Finn Russell was injured, because then we're talking about the Stormers game next. And if you want to use one injury to a fraudulent 10, I can't wait to talk about the next game then. So Stormers took on La Rochelle, defending double champs. And I'm so happy that we spoke about the Bath versus Exeter game just before this one, because I was hearing, listen, Bath only lost the game because they had an injury to Finn Russell. Well, how about you try having 5 injuries and a yellow card? We smashed your so-called defending champions, made them look amateur, felt like we were playing a Currie Cup game, schoolboy rugby game. And then La Rochelle scoring their first points of the game after 5 injuries and a yellow card. Disgraceful. It's embarrassing. I won't hear any slander from anyone because we played them off the park. Now, yeah, fair enough. Good teams find a way to get it over the line. That's what they did. Leinster would know all about it. They do it all the time against them. But I mean, I'm still super proud of the boys. I know I bantered a bit, but I'll take nothing away from La Rochelle at the end of the day. It was a good performance from them to get it over the line. But I'm super proud of our boys. Really stuck it out there, playing with the same 15 guys for 18 minutes.
Look, at the end of the day, the injuries were bad, but when Manny Lebok, and I love Manny Lebok, when you have a chance to win the game at the death, and you do, you can't continue to defend the player now. Against Ireland, I believe he dropped, maybe 8 points at the World Cup, and he misses what would have taken his team over into the quarterfinals. And I think that's an even bigger problem with the Stormers. I think maybe the Stormers have exposed themselves as a team that's continually choking big games. I mean, you're looking at the URC final last year, and now in the quarterfinals this year. Put a team like Bulls in that position, I don't think that happens. But look, hats off to La Rochelle. I think they beat Leinster next week. Really happy with them.
Oh, Teddy, you see, I love this because you bring up the one kick he missed, except for he didn't miss a kick until that one. The previous time we played La Rochelle, he came in clutch and kicked the penalty kicked the conversion from the touchline, which sent us through. Then everyone said, listen, Moni's a clutch player. Now because he misses one kick, all of a sudden he's not a clutch player. You were the one defending him in the World Cup when he missed kicks as well. So I won't hear any Moni slander. You're saying we choked because we lost to the double defending champions.
Yes.
We choked against them, and we choked against in the URC final. I'm fine with the final. We choked that one. But don't you remember we won the season before that? You want to call us chokers for losing against the double champs? I'm sorry.
That's the definition of choking. That is the definition
The definition of choking.
Bristol came. They died before even getting choked.
But
I've heard about this. Did it in the pool stage. Didn't do it in the knockout stage scenario before. With your team Springboks and Ireland. And you're going to give us all this stuff about, Ireland can't do it when it matters. And then your team won against a team in the pool stage. And then when it mattered in the knockout stage, you lost, fell out. You couldn't do the kick then. So if you're going to come to Ireland about this, we're going to come to the Stormers about it.
Leinster, did you have 5 injuries and a yellow card before the All Blacks all of a sudden started scoring points? I can't remember that.
No,
Yeah,
we're
Like
just-
surely you have enough brain cells to comprehend it and say, listen, the Stormers were actually smashing La Rochelle.
they never had a clear-cut chance, like Stormers did yesterday, to win the game. And I think the frustrating thing about it is, if that's any other kicker in the world, if that is Intermac, I'm backing him. If that's Intermac, no, if that's Ramos, I'm backing him to make that kick. If that's, I'll back a Jack Crowley, I'll back a George Ford, I'll back. There's so many other 10s. Handre Pollard, I'll back Mwanga. But Manny Lebok, every single time, his kicking is going to be what the difference between a legendary career and just riding the bench and reserves his whole career.
You need reliability at 10 at the end of the day. Reliability is just an underlying quality that every 10 needs, and he doesn't have it.
Listen, fair enough. You probably should have kicked it. Have you seen the winds in Cape Town? It's been blowing down buildings, and you expect him to keep the goal.
If we're going to bring up the wind and the weather, I'm going to bring up that forward pass New Zealand did.
Fair enough. You missed the game-winning kick. Fair enough. He missed the kick. But, I mean, you guys are ignoring the fact that he played absolutely brilliant the whole game. And we shouldn't have taken it to the final kick of the game. That's the point. So we bottled it a bit. I'll take it on the chin. Like, obviously, it was a tough pill to swallow, that one. But, I mean, how much do you take away from the Stormers there? And how much do you give to La Rochelle? Because Leinster was all praise to La Rochelle. Don't worry, they always do this. So, yeah, maybe a bottle job, but also, do you want to give any credit to La Rochelle for actually making a comeback?
I mean, you can never write them off for that. I know that all too well, but I mean, they do show up when it matters like that. They can win games in the second half. Like, look at the final last year. Leinster were 17-0 up, and then suddenly they came back. They kept Leinster quiet, and then they won the trophy in Dublin. So that's why I had backed them to win the game.
Bordeaux came out, absolutely smashed Saracens. I think it's an utter embarrassment. People called maybe an upset victory. And when people actually back you and you go on and lose by 33 points in a round of 16, I think you should be punished for something like miss a year of Heineken Cup. Leinster, what do you think?
I didn't expect them to get hammered again. Like, I think if you get hammered like that in the same stadium with the same team, you should be able to go back there in the knockout stage and at least put up a bit more of a fight. But they got arguably hammered worse than they did because they didn't even get their 12 points until the last couple of minutes. It was just embarrassing. Embarrassing for the Premiership, embarrassing for the team.
Yeah, I agree. I think it feels like the downfall of the Saracens. Like, you look at Farrell saying he's leaving, Billy Vanapola out of form. It feels like it was coming to an end and we're waiting for something. And I think the loss yesterday was like just the nail in the coffin almost. I think Saracens are done. You know, the golden era they've had. I don't know how, like, even in England now, I don't think they're going to be one of the top teams next season. And I think Bordeaux is just a different level.
Yeah, I'm loving this Sarries downfall as a Leinster fan, but it just happens to money clubs like that. You know, they got relegated for the finance stuff, and then happened to Toulon. Toulon won their 3 Heineken Cups, and they haven't done anything since. They've been a bottom half table top 14 team, and they gelled
very well. They gelled very well together for years because they had so many England internationals. They were just loving it, and they were all on form. Like, they had prime Daly, they had prime Vunipola, like arguably prime Farrell. Like, And now these players are aging and their academy systems and the players they're getting in just aren't as good. And it's showing in the Prem as well. They've lost way more games than expected this season. I mean, they're still doing decent, but like they're not gonna be Prem champs as everybody said they would be and as they were last season. I completely agree with Tadi. It's downfall of Sarries.
Yeah, what I think Rose saying, which is interesting, is if you look at other teams like Leinster, as much as I don't like them, one thing I'll credit them for is as soon as Sexton is gone, they've got 2 young tens in Prendergast and in Jack Crowley, not Jack Crowley, and Harry Byrne, and I think even Ross Byrne as well. That's 3 fly halves ready to take over, and Leinster just have a line of really good rugby players coming through, and all the South African teams as well. But like Saracens just didn't prepare for the future at all. And as a Bristol fan, look, when we win the league next season, I'll be happy to the downfall of Saracens. That's all I'm saying.
If they don't get relegated before that. So Leinster knock out the Leicester Tigers, 36-22. What do we think of Andre Pollard in that game?
Brilliant. Scored a try as well. One standout player for Leicester Tigers. I think Leinster should hold there. It's in shame. You played against a team that struggled against the Newcastle Falcons. I don't think Falcons have won a game. And you made hard work of the Leicester Tigers team. Now, I will give credit to the Tigers. It never feels like you're going to watch the Tigers and see them get battered. Somehow they always find a way to stay in the game. Or they make themselves struggle. They never batter a team and they never get battered. But I think Leinster made hard work of a game that should have been a comfortable victory.
Yeah, we're talking about downfall of teams. I don't know, Leinster this year for me haven't felt as dominant as they have in previous years. Like last year, and the year before, there was almost an inevitability. Like they'll go into a game and just batter a team 30 points and walk away. But now I think it's starting to catch up with them. It's not like an easy Europe now where they can walk through and not really have to put in a full 80-minute shift. So I don't see how they're going to get past this round. But I think, as Casual was saying, Pollard, best 10 in the world. What else is there to say?
If you look at La Rochelle last year, they nearly went out in the round of 16 to Gloucester. I think it was within a score. So I think this is Leinster's bad game in the knockout stage. I think the biggest issue last year was that they didn't have a bad game in the knockout stage until the final. They dominated the Ulster. They dominated Leicester. They even dominated Toulouse. But then they went to the final, hadn't made a mistake. They made mistakes in the final, lost. So I think if they got the mistakes out the way now, they can go beat La Rochelle, and then after that, easy road to trophy.
I was going to say, just to go back to the point before, it's interesting you guys bring up Pollard. Because Pollard, I feel, has never really found his best form for Leicester. He kind of joined Leicester on a very slight downhill after they won the Premiership when George Ford was playing at 10, although he didn't play in the final. And since then, he's just never really been overly convincing for them. I mean, he got injured. Leicester were in a semi-final in the Prem last year, but he got injured before the semi-final. He's never really been in those key moments. So to see him play well in quite a big game was, I think, a nice thing to see, and probably quite optimistic for Leicester fans who have never really got the best of him. But that's like, I think, the biggest talking point from that game, in my opinion. I think it's very hopeful for Leicester fans.
And I mean, the players I was watching were him and Freddie Stewart. Pollard obviously played well, but like Freddie Stewart is a player that I'm worried about. I see him like going to the wing. I think maybe trying to catch up with Furbank and develop a running game. I don't know how, like looking at Freddie Stewart now, he gets back into an England jersey.
It's really difficult, especially with the way England is trying to develop. You can see the direction they're trying to go in with Furbank. And Stewart's just very different. He's much more defensive and he's far better at it, but he's really on and off at the moment. And I agree. Yeah. I think it's going to be really difficult for him to get back in an England jersey.
So Munster fall out of Europe yet again in the first round. They lost 24-14 to Northampton. Can Northampton now go and win the tournament, do we think? Or are they just going to go out to the Bulls, or are they going to go out to Leinster before the final?
I think they have a massive chance of making the final, at least. The way they've been performing in the Prem this season is like a Northampton we've never seen. They obviously beat Sarries a few weeks ago in the Prem very convincingly, which kind of just, I feel like, further established how good they are, because obviously Sarries are a very established team. But they are looking absolutely brilliant, and some of their players really shone today. I don't know if you saw when Hendy came on, he scored 2 tries. He looks very promising. Finn Smith at 10 as well. Obviously, he's been in the England squad before. he was brilliant. I think he had an assist, didn't he, or a couple of assists. But overall, their squad just looks insane, and their squad depth as well is brilliant. The way they're gelling at the moment is like the chemistry within that team is insane, and it's showing in the Prem, and I think it's translating at the moment to like European level. So I really think they can go far in this tournament.
I fully agree with what Rose is saying. I think Northampton were insane today, but I also think we should put some respect on Munster's performance. I know they fell out, but they kept the game tight. They're dealing with injuries. I think they had about 3 or 4 injuries coming into this game. Obviously, Arges Neyman not there. Massive name for them, but a couple of guys really stepped up to the plate today. They kept it tight until halftime, and then kind of just like crumbled under the pressure. They you could see they were tiring out, but tight burn, getting about 1 million steals at the breakdown, really impressed. Obviously, Jack Crowley didn't necessarily have his best game, but I think he stood out a bit in that Munster team. So I think Munster can still be proud of their performance, considering going up against arguably one of the teams that's in the best form in the tournament this far. So well done to Munster still.
I just don't get how Munster lost it though, because they were actually owning the game for the first half anyway. Like they were looking like the team that was going to win, and then it just fell apart after 60 minutes.
I think Northampton was just very, very persistent, and they have been all season. They're not one of those teams that starts losing a bit of form and then lets it all fall apart.
Yeah.
Like I said, the team chemistry is there, and they push through till the very end, and they just continue to fight. And I think that really showed today, and that's why they're going to go far. Like you said, Munster did play well, but as soon as Northampton spotted a bit of weakness, I mean, they flew, didn't they? So I think that's probably why.
Yeah, and obviously the subs made a massive impact. I mean, look at how the game changed when Saints brought on their subs. I think Birgit Woerendal on the inside centre played one of his best games that I've seen him play. I was so confused when they took him off, but the replacement came on, changed a bit of the way that they play, and scored 2 tries. It's that Hindi guy. Absolutely insane. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Saints can cook up, because not only are they winning games, they are looking like an exciting team to watch. Like I would look forward to watching them play against the likes of a Leinster or Toulouse. That could be massive, massive games for them.
Toulouse beat Racing. I think it's a result that we all expected. Casuals take it away. What do you think of the result? Can Toulouse really build on this performance?
Yeah, I think Toulouse have looked very exciting. Obviously, we're expecting, like if you just go on the general consensus, we're expecting a Leinster versus Toulouse final probably. To point back, I think they could have scored a lot more than 31 points they had. Racing defending for their lives. The only real Racing player that stood out was Gael Fico. I think he had an extraordinary game. But other than that, it was just Toulouse all day long. Score could have been high if they actually kicked their points. Kulisi once again injured, just came back from an injury, injured again in the first half. Things are not looking great for Racing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't get beaten by more. But looking at Bordeaux, I think in that semi-final, Bordeaux beat Toulouse, and then Bordeaux make the final.
Really?
I'll entertain it. I like the way that Bordeaux is looking, but I don't really see a lot of vulnerabilities when it comes to Toulouse. I think they're a well-rounded team. They look pretty solid. Like doesn't look like they are defensively fragile. Doesn't look like they struggle on attack or anything. But that is one very exciting game. We always know when 2 top 14 teams go against each other, it's always a classic. So that will be massive.